While we're early into the year, it's hard to argue that 2025's biggest Android phone launch is probably going to be the Galaxy S25 Ultra, but how does it compare to Google's current top-tier Pixel 9 Pro XL and one of the fan favourites from last year? Well, here's everything you need to know. Before then, would you mind subscribing to the channel? I appreciate it's early in the video, but trust me, at least I think we make some good stuff around here, and it helps me out more than you know. Plus, if you slap that notification bell, you'll get a notification every time we have new stuff for you to watch, and I'd love for you to join us. So in terms of the hardware, Samsung has upped the ante once again with the Galaxy S25 Ultra this year. This is naturally an ultra premium smartphone in every single regard, from the materials to the fit and finish. Sure, there are annoyances and frustrations at falling behind some Chinese OEMs, at least in the camera hardware stakes, but at its core, this is one of the best smartphone packages around, and it has been the case with every Galaxy S series Ultra flagship over the past few years. Let's not take anything away from Google and the Pixel 9 Pro XL though. It's yet another refined and well-made Android phone with a very iPhone-like quality, which I think is a positive. You get premium materials in a polished package. Conversely, Samsung just continues to show that it can make pristinely crafted tech, but this time around, it has a little bit more finesse thrown in. It's nipped, it's tucked and streamlined without really diminishing the quality or consistency that they've had for years. Although it does have a marginally slimmer build, I do think this phone is still a behemoth. The edges have been softened with rounded corners on the S25 Ultra, but it retains some of the boxy design aesthetic while keeping room for extras like the S Pen, which we're not going to go into too depth here as there are no new S Pen features. Because of that, I think it's almost impressive just how the Pixel 9 Pro XL manages to stack up to Samsung's Pro S. It too is a big, bold phone that is similarly large, with only 3 grams between them, which is 221 grams on the Pixel 9 Pro XL versus 218 grams on the Galaxy S25 Ultra. There's also a tale of two screens here because while both are exceptional in their own right, I do think one of these has an edge. We've been spoiled with some of the best mobile displays over the past few years, but Samsung has one ace up its sleeve, and it's here again and better than ever before. The anti-glare coating is an incredible achievement, and you'll see more and have a better viewing experience when using your phone practically everywhere. One major upside though is that both displays, they're completely flat across the board, so no worries about corner drops or dings or weak areas on those sides. The specs line up quite closely at QHD resolution, high maximum brightness levels, and 120Hz refresh rates thrown in. I think it's a toss-up until you factor in that anti-glare coating as I just mentioned. The Galaxy S25 Ultra also has much smaller screen edge bezels if that's something you care about, which means you're going to get more in tune or better experiences, that is, with the content you consume. They're both excellent displays, just creeping up to that 7-inch mark. I think there's no contest though when we start to talk about performance and internals. The Galaxy S25 Ultra has that top-tier Snapdragon 8 Elite processor, 12GB of RAM, which is lower than I expected, and it does have that even faster UFS 4.1 storage on board. The Pixel 9 Pro XL, it does hang in there for the most part, but it's blown out of the water in areas such as gaming performance, and it relies heavily on AI-powered tasks within certain applications to gain somewhat of an upper hand. I do think the extra 4GB of RAM on board could be an important actual extra, as Gemini does start to become a greater component with Android 16 and beyond, but for now, the Galaxy S25 Ultra is far and away one of the most powerful phones on the market. The good news though is that the base for both the Galaxy S25 Ultra and the Pixel 9 Pro XL is Android 15 based. Things are similar, they're not quite the same though, despite being under that banner of Android. One UI 7.0 on Galaxy phones is more refined than it ever has been before, with lots of tweaks for that slick daily experience that you kind of have come to know and accept from Samsung. While it's not quite as clean as Google's version of Android for the Pixel series generally, it has a distinct feel that is perfect for Samsung hardware, at least that's how I feel about it. Gemini and Galaxy AI are also greater components in this specific build of One UI for the Galaxy S25 series. On Pixel, Gemini is still, or it still feels a little bit tacked on and more of an optional add-on at that. Without delving into the specifics, at least until Android 16 arrives, the Galaxy S25 Ultra has a lot more AI features that you can utilize or control your phone with. Depending on how you feel about AI in Gemini, this might necessarily be a negative. Another point in favor of the Galaxy S25 is the usage of those better internal components that I alluded to earlier. There is a performance gulf that just can't be bridged by Google's software tuning alone. Throw in the 7-year update support window and it's understandable why some people stand by Samsung and continue to upgrade to the Ultra series. Sure, the Pixel can match the update plan, but I am concerned how Tensor will hold up will it hold up as well as the Snapdragon 8 Elite? I do think it remains to be seen. We're also anxious to see just what the Galaxy S25 Ultra is capable of when it comes to battery longevity, as we didn't spend necessarily enough time to really get an idea of that. Our recent experiences with the Snapdragon 8 Elite mean that we're pretty confident this is going to be a battery beast. With both phones packing in 5,000 mAh internal cells or thereabouts, you should be able to get a full day, maybe even 2 days with the S25 with absolutely no issues whatsoever. No device though has particularly fast charging when compared to the likes of OnePlus, Xiaomi and Oppo, which are in some cases well over that 100-watt barrier. That said, the Galaxy S25 Ultra does have faster 45-watt wide charging, but the Pixel 9 Pro XL hits higher speeds when using a compatible Pixel stand for wireless charging. If you're worried about battery wear and tear though, there is a benefit as charging limits are present on the S25 and Pixel 9 Pro, so long as you're running Android 15 on that latter phone. So the Galaxy S25 Ultra's raw camera specifications I don't think have changed too drastically, at least compared to its predecessors. There is a new ultra-wide lens, but similarly the Pixel 9 Pro XL is not necessarily the best on paper, but it remixes the formula of previous Pixel phones. I think both of these have great cameras, great zoom cameras specifically, but I don't think the Pixel can compete with the capabilities of that 100x capable S25 Ultra system. We wouldn't recommend taking photos above 30 to 40x anyway, as I do think AI can oversharpen these images quite drastically. I'd argue that both of these cameras are right at the top of the totem pole when it comes to Android smartphone camera systems, but they might not be the outright best. These are definitely not the most cutting edge, as some of last year's sensors have been utilized across the board, but on the Samsung phone, that 200 megapixel main wide camera is undoubtedly the star of the show once again. It's just still a great sensor that allows for high resolution shots or pixel binned tack sharp images. Credit to Google though, as they threw in an upgraded 42 megapixel selfie camera on the Pixel 9 Pro XL, which is almost 3 times the resolution of the 12 megapixel selfie camera on the S25 Ultra. This bigger sensor and that high resolution are going to be important if you want to take lots of selfies and selfie videos, as it just means you can capture more information in your images. Realistically though, the Galaxy S25 Ultra definitely beats out the Pixel 9 Pro XL camera system, and that's not just in the raw hardware available to you. If you want camera functions, I do think it's a no contest, from the enhanced dedicated Pro mode to those improved video recording resolutions. The Galaxy S25 Ultra could be a verifiable content creation machine, whereas the Pixel 9 Pro XL showcases improvements in AI and off-device processing with features like Video Boost that do at least mean that you have options available at your fingertips. So every single year, Samsung just shows up and does just enough to take a seat at that top table of the best smartphones around. Google has quietly worked though on its own device lineup, and for the first time in a few years, the Pixel 9 Pro XL feels easier to recommend with no issues, problems, or major potential pitfalls, save that SoC. We're talking about two $1,000 smartphones, at least at their retail prices, and that means there really shouldn't be any compromises when you start to fork over your money, if that's either upfront or over a monthly sell plan period. If you just care about that, I have to say the Galaxy S25 Ultra is the better buy. Samsung has refined One UI, thrown in the biggest and best new chip, plus builds on the already impressive Galaxy S24 series, in particular the S24 Ultra. In reality though, the Pixel 9 Pro XL might provide a better value proposition, as it has been heavily discounted almost 5 months on from when it was launched. And once the Galaxy S25 Ultra hits store shelves, it won't be available at discount, at least for a little while, unless you can get some good rebates ahead of a launch. You'll also be able to get Android 16 on the Pixel very soon, which we doubt will be available for Samsung phones for quite a while, given that slow rollout of One UI 7.0, if that is something you care about. I do think it's too early to suggest that the Galaxy S25 Ultra is one of the best Android phones, or at least the best Android phone of the year, as we've only had a couple of launches, but it will no doubt be in contention, as previous Samsung flagship phones have in years gone by. That said, the Pixel and devices like the OnePlus 13 could definitely dull the sheen of that latest launch, as ground has been ceded by the Korean tech giant not actually going all out every single year like they may have done in the past. I'm not convinced that the Galaxy S25 Ultra is exponentially better than the Pixel 9 Pro XL this year, but let me know what you think down in the comment sections below. Do you think the S25 Ultra is a good upgrade, a bad upgrade, anything in between? What about the Pixel 9 Pro XL? How do you feel about it? Do you own it? How are you getting on? Let me know. I want to start a dialogue with you down in the comment sections below, but cheers for watching, and I will speak to you later.